Greetings, students. We are now entering the second half of the course, and we're going to be doing our news research slightly differently. Up until this point, we've been using the library's databases of those big five newspapers in the country, and that's just so we start getting a feel for what good, solid journalism looks like. However, once you graduate college, many of you are not going to have access to the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal unless you buy some type of access to it. And so what we're going to be doing for the rest of the semester is we're going to be using some online news sources that are more easily accessible. Now, I'm sure you're aware that media has biases. There are some that are slightly to the left of center, slightly to the right of center. There are some that go quite extremely far. We have in our course documents and resources module a list of the resources or the news sites that you're allowed to use for this second half. And it looks like this. Ad Fontes Media is a site that documents the different biases of different news organizations. It's a pretty thorough breakdown. And so we're going to be going with their ratings. As you can see, we have a couple standard centrist news sites, the Associated Press and Reuters. But most of what we're going to be using for the rest of this unit are sources on the left and right. That might just skew a little left or skew a little right, or might be hyper-partisan to the left or hyper-partisan to the right. When you do your news research, you're going to use these sources. And so let's say that maybe we want to find a strong right story on Hindu nationalism. So you can see here, Newsmax, or the actual news site is newsmax.com. And so if we want to look up a story on Hindu nationalism, we just go to Hindu nationalism. We're going to write in site, S-I-T-E, colon, and then anything we put after this will only search those sites. So in this case, newsmax.com. As you can see here, all of the news stories are coming from Newsmax. Now, remember, we need to make sure we're staying within the last year, only within the last year. If you go over here to Tools, it allows you to focus on what time. So we go to any time, and we're just going to put that in the past year. It really narrows it down. Finally, when you go to that news site, remember that you can't use opinion or op-ed or letters to the editor. So what you'll do is you'll put Control F, and that's going to bring up your search term or an opportunity to make a search. And we're just going to see, is there anything about this being an editorial? Nope. Maybe it's an op-ed. Nope. Maybe it's an opinion piece. Well, we can see that there is an opinion column. Is there? Nope. Once again, an opinion column. If it's an op-ed or opinion piece, there'll be something in the title or at the bottom that explicitly says, or should explicitly say, that this is an opinion piece or an op-ed or an editorial. If you don't have any of that, you're good to go, and that is a news source that you can use, or I should say, a news story that you can use. Good luck as we move forward. Do be aware that some of our news sites, I'm going to ask you to look for one source from the left and one source from the right. So make sure you're giving yourself plenty of time to compare these. When I ask you to look for something from the left and the right, they need to be looking at the same thing. So if you're looking at something on Hindu nationalism, your story on the right talks about Modi, and your story on the left is talking about the Congressional Party. Those are not the same stories. They have to compare points of view.